But during the interim, like, should minimum wage workers make, the state level or Cook County level is really the question. I'm not sure that differential is large enough to really get to the issue of automation and whether it will incentivize that.
The other question, you brought up the state level versus Cook County level. A gallon of milk in Lincoln would cost X amount of money. Mm-hmm. A gallon of milk in Peoria or in LaSalle, Peru, or in Rantoul costs the same amount of money. Mm-hmm. And if you go buy a new Chevy truck, it costs the same amount of money in Chicago, except for the taxes, as it does in Rantoul.
Yes, sir. So,
isn't it fair to say everyone's minimum wage should be lifted, not just a specific area?
Yes.
So
it's actually,
but the state's mandating that.
But that's not actually true. It's kind of interesting. But here's something that I did. I was listening to the Illinois retail merchants. I did a bunch of YouTube studying to kind of get as much background as I could. And the interesting thing is, like, for example, the Holiday Inn in Springfield, let's say, is $85, and it's $125 in the city plus with the taxes. So the cost of living might be smaller. That's why I think the state isn't adopting such a ramped up thing like Cook County. I think that it's
cost of living is
right. They're moving up slowly, and I think in a more fair way. That's why I think that they've been able to do this. Cook County is a completely different animal, and I get it, mostly the city. But the interesting thing I heard that I think is something that we need to think about, because it did come from the retailers, is that one gentleman, they had the individuals all describing their businesses, but they all seemed to agree when this man made the comment that while he's not going to probably eliminate jobs, what he's going to do is eliminate pay raises, because over time he was, incentivizing and paying his employees for retention purposes. He was giving them raises more frequently and more abundantly. That leveled off. So now you had less disparity between the lowest paid and your longest term worker. That was a really interesting comment that I heard. Now, the other thing, what you were saying about the automation, don't go to the self-checkout. I think that's an affront on our workers. Those types of things where you replace people with automation, and
companies like McDonald's that can afford to pay.
And Jewel, but for years, when you talk about programs that we partnered with schools, Niles West, Lincolnwood, and Niles West, Niles Township for both high schools. We just brought in the Bridges program into Lincolnwood, which is helping, kids with an assortment of challenges to learn life skills. And those self-checkouts, I think, are really the most horrific thing, that are way worse than the minimum wage thing. But the minimum wage thing has to be balanced. I think we have to really consider, a lot of things, because I don't think that just flipping the switch for a minimum wage might be the answer, because then again I worry about over like a graph, are they going to stop giving those raises to employees and keeping long-term employees incentivized and helping them have a pathway to success in a career because they have to meet a threshold for a minimum wage? Minimum wage was designed not for a long-term source of income. It was for entry level, it was for recruitment and scrutiny, training, things like that. And all the numbers that I'm finding, especially in our more immediate area, seem to kind of reflect that. I don't know that we have a huge population in this area. And in fact, I did an informal poll in Edgebrook where all these shops really took a beating during the construction. And I was asking, they have a few less employees, but they're paying them above minimum to keep them. So a good operator is going to do what they need to do to keep their business running. I get a little nervous
I think we have a couple businesses here from Lincoln